Hi, I'm Kyungjun from the University of Maryland, College Park, and this is joint work with Daisuke Sato, Saki Asakawa, my advisor Hernisa Kacorri, and Chieko Asakawa from Carnegie Mellon University, New York University, and IBM Research. Our work explores people's attitudes toward assistive wearable cameras that can detect pedestrians for blind people. In this work, we consider two different perspectives: the perspective of blind people who may be the end users of these technologies, and the perspective of sighted bystanders who may be captured by these cameras. Wearable cameras hold the promise to increase real-world accessibility for blind people by providing access to their visual surroundings, such as daily products, personal objects, and infrastructure. Perhaps not surprisingly, this wearable technology has been already available for blind people in the market as commercial products, such as Orcam and Ira. Such technology could also help blind people recognize their known people, their family members and friends, for example. It could also provide them with equitable access to people who are approaching to them, which help them navigate any potential threat that the approaching pedestrians may pose. For instance, if it could detect dangerous objects such as a gun or a knife, it, it could tell blind users about it. Also, if it could estimate the distance to the pedestrians, it would help blind users practice social distancing to maintain their safe space. In particular, a wearable camera may also be useful to blind users in social interactions, as it can provide them with information about people near them, such as their approximate distance, relative position, gender, and facial expressions. However, the public use of such a system may raise privacy concerns for bystanders, as the camera can capture them without their consent or knowledge. In 2016, Profita et al. Tried understanding bystanders' social acceptance of an assistive wearable camera. Their experimental research showed that people are more willing to accept a wearable camera if it is used for assistive purposes for blind people. In this prior study, however, participants experienced the technology through a video that focuses on showing how a blind person would be wearing a camera as shown on the slide. In other words, participants did not explicitly learn about what kind of visual information the technology may capture and process. Our research work looks at this unexplored area of the relationship between assistive wearable technology and its social acceptance. In the scenario of pedestrian detection, we try to understand the assistive wearable technology by considering bystanders who, however, may be captured by the technology and blind users who will benefit from the technology. Also, we are interested in how potential bystanders would be reacting to such technology before and after they learn more about it. In our work, two different studies are employed: an online study with videos that show how blind people could be using such technology, and the in-person study with a working prototype system that blind people can use to detect pedestrians. We first conducted a user study using an online survey platform. We recruited 206 sighted people via Amazon Mechanical Turk, and their age ranged from 19 to 70. These sighted participants were randomly assigned to one of two groups. Two groups respectively watched videos with two different forms of a wearable camera, which are smart glasses and head-mounted GoPro. Online participants first watched the passerby perspective video. This video basically shows how a blind person would be wearing a camera from the passerby's perspective. Letting two groups watch the video showing the two different types of camera, smart glasses and GoPro, we first try to see if the camera form factor has an effect on their opinions. From their responses, we see that GoPro was significantly more noticeable than smart glasses in terms of camera visibility. Perhaps this is not a surprise, as GoPro is bulkier than smart glasses. But it turns out that people who watched the smart glasses felt significantly more uncomfortable about this assistive technology than people who watched the GoPro. In particular, smart glasses seem to make people feel more uncomfortable in public than the GoPro, regardless whether it is recording or not. One participant who saw the video of the blind user using smart glasses specifically said, "I simply do not like being photographed or captured on video, especially when I'm not aware of it. Again, I find it acceptable if it helps blind people to see, but it still makes me a little uncomfortable," which highlights that people may feel uncomfortable about this technology despite their acceptance. Almost like anticipating our second stimuli after watching the first video, another online participant who reported feeling uncomfortable about these smart glasses mentioned, "I would like to know which information would be collected." And that's exactly what our study showed them next. Let's first watch the second video.
Male, 20s, 6 meters away, not looking at you.
We show them the same scenario, but this time from the blind user perspective. It exposes the type of information that the wearable camera captures and notifies the blind user of. After showing the second video, we ask people again about their acceptance, any privacy concerns that they may have, and whether they feel uncomfortable about this assistive camera. We look for a change in their opinions by asking them the same questions as before this video. The result showed that online sighted participants remain positive toward blind people using a wearable camera for pedestrian detection. The figure on the right side shows that their responses did not change much even after they watched the blind user perspective. However, many participants became more negative toward any other people who may not be blind using such technology. Perhaps after learning what the technology can do, participants were more cautious of their privacy or algorithms making inferences on their appearance. Thus, participants maintained their levels of comfort with the assistive use of a wearable camera even after they watched the blind user perspective video that shows the scenes behind the camera. Now moving on to our second study, where we bring blind and sighted participants to experience those scenarios in person. What we want to see here is whether this in-person experience results in different opinions than the online learning. Blind participants use our working prototype for pedestrian detection implemented on smart glasses. The smart glasses estimate a passerby's presence, distance, position, gender, age, and head pose in near real time. On the other hand, sighted participants are simply asked to walk in a hallway from the other side, but without knowing that a blind person with smart glasses may walk by them. Of course, as per our IRB, sighted participants were aware that they would be recorded. During the study, blind participants walk down in a hallway and are given the task to ask a passerby about a nearby office number. Note that for sighted participants, the walking activity is an in-person alternative to the passerby perspective video in the online study. We recruited 10 blind participants whose age ranged from 49 to 73. 3 participants reported to have light perception, and 4 participants mentioned that they had prior experience with a wearable camera, such as IRA. For each blind participant, 4 sighted participants were recruited on site one at a time. So in total, we recruited 40 sighted participants for this in-person experiment. Since we conducted the study on campus, sighted participants' age, which ranged from 19 to 39, tended to be a bit younger than that in the online study. After the walking activity, in-person sighted participants completed the same questionnaires as in the online study. Here, we first compare their answers to the online participants. Note that we used the online data with the smart glasses only, as GoPro was not used for the in-person study for this comparison. We find that if none of the recordings are saved, then in-person sighted participants are significantly more positive and less uncomfortable toward smart glasses for blind people. But at this point, the in-person sighted are not yet aware of what kind of information is being captured by the camera. After the walking activity and the questionnaire, sighted participants also watched the blind user perspective video. This is the same video as in the online study, which exposes the type of information that the wearable camera captures and notifies the blind user of. Here, sighted participants complete the same questionnaires as before the video. Similar to the online study, we observed that sighted participants in this in-person study also remained overall positive toward blind people using a wearable camera to detect pedestrians. Also, many sighted participants became more negative toward people other than the blind using such technology. We suspect that after learning what the technology can do, participants were more cautious of their privacy or the system that makes inferences on their appearance. Contrary to the online study, we noticed that in-person participants felt more uncomfortable toward this assistive technology once they saw what it is doing behind the scenes. One sighted participant who changed to feel uncomfortable after watching the video said, "When I realize it will collect too much information, I will feel a little bit uncomfortable." However, sighted people will collect the information they see unconsciously. Think about this. Though uncomfortable, it is reasonable. While you can find a more extensive analysis in our paper, let's talk for a second about conflict of interest that may arise between blind users of this technology and sighted bystanders. We asked blind participants about visual attributes that they think are important to be detected from pedestrians. On the other hand, we asked sighted participants about what visual attributes they would allow such a system to detect from them. We find that in many cases, blind and sighted participants are in agreement. Blind participants find the distance and position of nearby people the most important visual information, and sighted participants are okay with this information being captured. Also, blind participants think that age and ethnicity are the least important information, which is good since sighted participants would not like those to be inferred. These findings are exciting because they provide us with a design space that mitigates conflict between those affected by this technology. And our research team is leveraging these findings to develop novel smart glasses applications for social distancing and managing interactions with pedestrians. Our study also highlights areas where conflict may arise. For example, blind participants would like to know whether someone is looking at them or not, which is related to one's head pose. But here is where sighted participants are not okay with it. Moreover, blind participants think that accessing others' facial expressions can help with social interactions, but sighted participants would not like this to be detected by an assistive system. Last, coming back to the wearable camera form factor, we see another conflict of interest pertaining to the camera visibility. One blind participant specifically mentioned, "I wouldn't wear heavier, bulkier smart glasses because it's more likely to draw unwanted attention." However, some cited participants said the camera should be noticeable, saying, "I'm not looking to be recorded without my knowledge." So it's important that it is discernible that the blind individual is wearing a camera. We believe that this work is critical for navigating social norms and acceptance of wearable cameras for blind users and highlighting concrete next steps in this direction. We invite you to read our paper for more details and reuse our study design, questionnaires, and stimuli for your future work. Please visit the link shown on the bottom of this slide for more information about our user study. We would like to thank Zijia Ye for her illustrations and our funding agencies, Simuju Corporation and NIDLR, which stands for National Institute on Disability, Independent Living, and Rehabilitation Research. Thank you.